In this video, we're going to look at Chapter 1, Basic Excel Concepts. We're going to start off by opening up our file. The name of our file is called Chapter 1 Practice. Now, after opening it up, we're going to take a quick look at it. We have a title here, a subtitle, and a group of numbers. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to apply a theme to the workbook. How you do that is by clicking on Page Layout. Make sure that that tab is activated. Our themes are over to the left-hand side. Click the down arrow. And we're going to go with the theme called Integral. Click on it, and that's done. Next, we're going to look at a few ways of widening a column. I'm going to start off by selecting the columns B through F. And how I go about doing that is by clicking on the B. Up here, the entire column is now highlighted. Hold down the Shift key and left click on column F. And we can now see that the columns B through F are highlighted. To auto-fit those columns, what you do is go up here in between the column letters. In between F and G, we now have a cross. Quickly double left click. And all of those columns have now been auto-fit. Still another way of doing it is by selecting the columns, and we've already done that, B through F. Come up in between F and G, and instead of quickly double left clicking, which would auto fit, hold down your left mouse. And by holding down the left mouse, it'll show you what the width of those columns are right now. Width of 437 pixels. If I wanted to change that to 50 pixels, I would get my cross in between F and G, hold down the left mouse, and drag over to the right. And release. What you can see now is that it's now 50 pixels. Next, we're going to look at our titles. The thing about the titles is that you always want to have them merged and centered in any type of Excel document. The steps to doing that is first to highlight the area, the width of the page that you want to center them on. So I'm going to highlight from A1 to H1. Make sure your Home tab is activated. And underneath wrap text is a button called Merge and Center. Left click on that. And what we can see is that our title now is centered across the page. A lot of times we might want to have some fancy formatting for our cells. How we get that formatting? And once again, I have A1 highlighted. I come over here to the right where we have Styles. Click the down arrow, and we're going to choose the title style. Left click it, and we can see it's been changed. We're going to now click in cell A2, and once again merge and center that subtitle. So first off, we're going to highlight from A2 to H2. That's the area that we want to have it merged and centered. Click on the button Merge and Center. And then we're going to apply some other fancy formatting. We're going to take that cell A2, come over here to Styles, click the down arrow, and for our formatting, we're going to choose for that cell Heading 1. Click on it, and once again, it's been changed. Next, we're going to highlight this area right here. Highlight it. We're going to make it bold. And we're going to apply some fancy formatting. We're going to choose Heading 4. Styles, Heading 4. Now I'm going to auto-fit the rest of this area. I'm going to click on the A, column A, hold down the Shift key, left click on column H, so we got that entire area. All the columns are now selected. Come up here in between H and I have my cross. Quickly double left click. So now we can see everything. Next, we're going to sum. For our first quarter, we have 20 restaurants, and we want to get a total for the revenue. How much was sold for each of the 20 restaurants? A few different ways of doing it. First off, we can go into cell B24, come up here to Auto Sum, and then click on the Sum button. Excel will take a guess at what you want to add or sum. And basically what it's saying that we want to sum the totals starting in cell B4. A colon means a range. So from B4 to B23, we want to sum those numbers or sum that range. Click on the check mark or hit enter, either way. We now have our total. We know that everything, we have 20 stores, 20 times 100 is 2,000. But as a rule, you want to check your first entry or first formula, because what we're going to try to do is we're going to copy that pattern across. So it's very important that you always check the formula. And the easiest way of doing that is by going into or clicking within cell B24 and quickly double left clicking. It's called the range finder. What the range finder is showing us is that we're summing from B4 all the way down to B23. And it's showing us graphically. It's very easy to see that we did get the right formula. Hit escape. Now go to our fill handle. Fill handle is a little rectangle over here. Hover over it. And when you have that plus sign, that means that you've located the fill handle. Hold down the left mouse and drag over to this point right here. Let's double check and make sure that we have the right formula. So we're in this area here, in cell E24. Quickly double left click the range finder, and it's showing us graphically that our formula is correct. Hit escape. Now what we're going to do is we're going to total for each of our 20 restaurants what the yearly sales were. And yearly sales is defined as quarter 1 plus quarter 2 plus quarter 3 plus quarter 4. Easiest way of doing that, we can either highlight those first 4 for restaurant 1, come up to Auto Sum, and then click on Sum. Still another way of doing it is by clicking within cell F4. So here's where our cursor is. Going up to Auto Sum, down arrow, and then hit Sum. And once again, now Excel is showing us graphically what we're summing, starting at B4 all the way to F4. That's the correct pattern. So what we're going to do next is go to the fill handle. We have our plus, hold down our left mouse, and then copy that pattern down to this point right here. Release the mouse, and we have our numbers. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some accounting format. Like all the numbers here are revenue. As a rule, you would want to show them either as a currency format or accounting format. What we're going to do is we're going to simultaneously format some of the numbers. I'm going to begin by highlighting this area here, just this top row. And when you hear the word simultaneously, that means at the same time. But when you're working with Excel, it means after doing the first range, hold down your Control key and then highlight your second range simultaneously. It's at the same time. We highlighted here, then we held down our Control key and highlighted here. That allows us now to come up to the $sign, which is the accounting number format. Click there, and those rows have now been formatted. Next, we're going to highlight the other numbers, the ones that aren't in accounting format, highlight them, and we're going to use the comma format or comma style. So we're going to come up here, over to the right of the $sign is the comma. Click on it. Right now it's 2 rounded off to 2 decimal places. If we needed to change that, we could come up here and either increase the decimal or decrease them. Either way, I'm going to leave it as it is. The next thing we're going to do is one of the most important things in all of Excel, is we're going to create a formula that's going to calculate the percentage of the total. The percentage of the total for each of the 20 stores. Now, it's a formula. And before we start actually using Excel, we got to think of how we would calculate it if we had a calculator. Basically, we would take a restaurant 1, take its total sales of 400, and then divide that by the total. 400 divided by 8,000. For restaurant number 2, it would be once again 400 divided by 8,000. Restaurant 3, 400 divided by 8,000. The whole key here is that the pattern that keeps on repeating itself is the 8,000, the total, the denominator. We need to fix that or make that an absolute, because we're always, no matter what, for each of the restaurants, it's going to be the year total divided by the total sales of 8,000. Keeping in mind that that 8,000 is in cell F24. Well, let's work through this. We're going to go up to cell G4. It is a formula. All formulas begin with an equal sign. We're going to get our mouse and click on the first 400, which happens to be in cell F4, divided by the grand total, or total sales, is 8,000, which happens to be in F24. Now, F24 is the denominator. It's the value that we need to repeat over and over again. It is fixed. It is an absolute. We're always going to be dividing by that 8,000, or that value that is in cell F24. And how we make that F24 a constant or a fixed value, or in Excel talks, it's called an absolute. How you do that is by tapping on function key F4. Function key F4. And what's happened here is that there is now a $sign before your F and a $sign before your 24. We've locked in that absolute value of 8,000. Click the check mark. Go to our fill handle. We have our plus. Hold it down and drag it down. To double check our formula, we'll take this one right here and quickly double left click it. F23, 400 sales, divided by the 8,000, which happens to be an F24. But we know it's an absolute. There is a $sign before the F and a $sign before the 24. And once again, the easiest way of getting that absolute, or making a cell an absolute, is by tapping the function key F4. Let's highlight these values here, turn them into a percentage. Let's come over here to the right and increase the decimal place by 1. Let's center this information. And now, next, we're going to look at adding a row. We need to add some information to the spreadsheet. Right now, we've got 20 restaurants. And we just opened up a 21st one. So we need to add restaurant 21 into our totals. The way to do that is by clicking on row 24. Right click. So in other words, we need to insert a row to put in our information. So we've clicked on row 24. It is now highlighted. Right click, insert. We now have our new row. Now we need to insert the new information. The easiest way probably to do that is by highlighting this row right here. Now you could type it all in, but it's a lot easier to highlight this information right here. Come to our fill handle. We have our plus, drag it down. And we've copied everything in here. Now, this is very important. I just added the information, but we know we have 21 stores. We have to go back to that initial summation. Now, there is a small little box here that's telling us that we might have a problem. Okay? what the problem is, I think the easiest way of looking at it is to quickly double left click, sum. So we're checking our information, sum from B4 to B23, but you can see that it's not including the most recent information, B24. So how you can change that is by going up here. We have a double arrow, hold down the left mouse and drag in. Release, check mark. It's now 2100. To double check it, quickly double left click, and we now have that whole value. So that's something to be very concerned with. I mean, if you're adding a row directly above the total, you're going to have to make your adjustment here. If we were adding a row up in this area here, your formula would be all right. Now we're going to go back here. Once again, our information is correct. We're going to go to our fill handle and drag across. And now everything has been changed. Next, we're going to create a sparkline or a group of sparklines within our spreadsheet. What a sparkline is basically a chart or a graph created within a cell or group of cells. We're going to begin by highlighting the cells where our sparklines are going to appear. I'm going to start up here on H4 and highlight down to here, H24. So this is the area where our sparklines are going to appear within each one of these cells. After highlighting those cells or where our sparklines are going to appear, the next thing is click on the Insert tab. Come over here to the right. We have sparklines. There's 3 types of sparklines. The one that we're going to choose is called line sparklines. Click up here. We now have a dialog box. This lower row here is the area that we've already highlighted, where our sparklines are going to appear. Next, we need to highlight the area that the sparklines are based on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight from B4 over to E, E4, and down, and release. The area that I've highlighted, B4 to E24, is the area that the sparklines are based on. The key point here is you can notice that I did not highlight the totals, and I did not highlight the totals here. And the same thing holds true for really any type of a chart, is that you never want to highlight your totals or your total rows. So our data range is from B24 to E24, and once again, we did not highlight any of the totals. Click OK. Our sparklines are now appearing. As a rule, you would want to show markers. Click here. We now have our markers showing. We could then choose a sparkline style. If you hover over it, it will tell you I'm going to choose this one right here, sparkline style Doc 6. And we could also choose a color. I'm not going to do that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a column chart from our data. And our column chart is going to be based upon the sales for restaurants 1 through 5. Now, once again, it's going to be a column chart just for restaurants 1 through 5. I'm going to start off by highlighting the area. Starting in A3, I'm going to come over and get my quarters. I am not, once again, highlighting the totals. Down to this point right here. So it's basically, I highlighted the areas A3 through E8. So that's highlighted. This is the area that my column chart will be based on. I'm going to click on the Insert button. Click up here for my column charts. Down arrow. This is a clustered column chart. We're going to choose that. And we have our chart. Now, what's showing right here are our 4 restaurants. And our legend here is down at the bottom showing the various quarters. And in many cases, that might be fine. So once again, looking at the chart, it's always made up of not two areas, but there's a y-axis and an x-axis. The y-axis are our values. And the x-axis right here are our restaurants. That x-axis is also called a category. What are categories? Now, sometimes you might find that you might want to switch the axis position or switch the legend. Now the axis right now, your x-axis are your restaurants, your legend are your quarters. How you do that is by clicking here inside of the chart. Coming up on top here, make sure that design has been clicked on. And then click on the button Switch Row and Column. What's happened here is that we've now switched our categories and also our legend. Our x-axis is now showing our quarters. And our legend is now our restaurants. Once again, all we have to do is click within the chart. Make sure that design has been selected. Click on Switch Row and Columns. We can click on the chart title. Come up here. And we'll give a title, Restaurant Sales. To move that chart down, come in within the chart, we have our cross, hold down our left mouse, and drag and drop it. To make the chart larger or smaller, we can come to the edges of it, one of the corners. We have a double arrow, and we can either move it in or move it out to make it bigger. Still within the chart, we're clicked within that chart. We have the ability to choose a chart style. Once again, you have to be within the chart. Your chart styles are up here. If you hover over any of the styles, it'll tell you which one you're looking to choose. We're going to select Style 8. We have the ability to choose a color. Colorful area, we can maybe choose 3. We also have the ability to choose a quick layout. And in this case, I'm going to leave it as it is. let's deselect the chart. And you do that by clicking within the numbers. So you're no longer within the chart. So how you deselect the chart is by clicking somewhere within your Excel sheet outside of the chart. And what we're going to do now is we're going to prepare for printing. And what we want to do is we want to print both sheets, Chapter 1 and also the sheet called Reference Formula. And we're going to do that by grouping the sheets. And as we've mentioned in class, the definition of grouping is selecting multiple sheets. So in other words, they're grouped. And the purpose of grouping is that if you make a change to one sheet that is grouped, that change goes to all the other grouped sheets. So it's a tremendous time saver. So we're going to group our sheets to prepare for printing. What we're going to do is we're going to click on Chapter 1 sheet, which is already selected. Hold down the Shift key and left click on the sheet called Reference Formula. What you see here is that both sheets are underlined. That means that they're grouped. But more importantly, if you come up to the top of your sheet, you can see that our file, Chapter 1 Practice, has next to it grouped. That's really important. So we know that both of our sheets are grouped. So what's done to one sheet gets done to all of them. We're going to prepare for printing. So what we're going to do is click on Page Layout tab. We're going to go to Margins, Narrow, so that's going to squish things in, Orientation, Landscape. Come over here where it says Page Setup and click on this arrow right here for Page Setup. Click on it. Click on Margins. And we're going to center on the page horizontally. Next, we're going to insert headers and footers. So we're going to click on Header and Footer tab. Click on Custom Header. When you look at our box, you can see that any header or footer is made up of three parts: a left section, a center section, and a right section. We're going to start off at the left section, and we're going to come over here to the button and click on it. Insert page number. It's not the second one, which would count the pages. We want to click on Insert Page Number. Click in our center section, and then come over here. If you hover over the buttons, they'll tell you what they are. Insert sheet name. Click OK. Click on Custom Footer. Custom Footer is now showing. On the left side, we're going to click on Insert File Name. Then click on OK. Next, we want to see what it's going to look like. So we're going to click on Print Preview. And what it's telling us right now is that we have 3 pages. Here's page 1. Seems to be working up here for our headers and footers. Page 2, it's only catching the bottom of our chart. Page 3, once again, we never put any information, so it's really showing all of page 3. The problem is with page 2, just showing that small section of the chart. The easiest way of rectifying that is by clicking on this button down here where it says No Scaling. That's what's happening right now. Click the down arrow. Come up here and select Fit Sheet on one page. Now you can see we have 2 pages. Here's our first page now showing the information, and our chart is also showing. We could now go ahead and print that file if needed. Thank you.